College Football Playoff National Championship, Monday, January 8th at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia, between number 4 Alabama and number 3 Georgia, 8 p.m. The good old National Championship presented by AT&T. It's an SEC matchup, Jeff, because the SEC is so good. It's so good.
It happened to be the one year that the Big Ten did great in bowls.
Well, 7-1. Michigan
7-1. You blew at Michigan. The last one to play, lost, and blew a big lead.
Are we
In
surprised?
the second half. No.
They're not good.
It's that team up north.
Yeah.
But 7-1, great. Probably a lot of people are saying one of the best bowl seasons for a single conference in history. I mean, you had 8 teams make it. 7 of them won.
Yeah. Most of them in good fashion, too.
Yeah.
It wasn't just a small win here and there. Some were large victories.
Yeah, like Ohio State's huge victory over USC. That was a big victory in a big bowl game. Penn State won their big bowl game as well. I mean, Wisconsin did well as well. All of the big ones we won, and then clearly most of the small ones we won too.
So now everybody's all up in arms like, oh, the playoffs shouldn't even have 2 teams from the same conference. But at the end of the day, if they are the best teams, then they should be in the top 4.
I think these 2 teams should have been in the top 4 too.
Except UCF.
Except UCF.
Yeah, UCF, national champions at 13-0, coached by Scott Frost. They should be number 1.
Claiming a national championship, they are. They're getting rings. They're having a parade. They're hanging a banner. They're doing all the things that national champion teams do.
Yeah, and head coach for Georgia, who is actually playing for the national championship, Kirby Smart, said about that, I think that's UCF's opinion. That was a media day, and he actually got a few cheers from it.
Well, you look at UCF's schedule, and this is why. They were ranked 12th going into the bowl season. They defeated one ranked team, and it was Memphis in the American Athletic Conference championship game.
Yep.
So that
they
was
only beat them by a touchdown, too.
That was Memphis's only loss on the year in the regular season. So Memphis was ranked 20th going into that game, and it went to double overtime, and UCF was able to win that to secure a spot in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, which essentially made it their Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So they were playing up, super hyped. Last game for Coach Frost, last game for these seniors, biggest game that this team will ever play. And Auburn says, why do we have to do this?
Well, they beat Auburn, too. So they won 34-27. Auburn beat Georgia. Auburn beat Alabama. Ipso facto,
Do you want to go
UCF
down
is
that
the
path?
national championship.
Do you want to go down that path?
I'm just saying.
I'm sure we could find a way to make Purdue a national champion as well.
I don't think so. I think that would be very difficult.
I
Don't
bet I could
do it. Don't do
do it.
I don't think you could. But I think at the end of the day, UCF. Really, it's hard to make an argument to make them in the top 4.
Because Auburn also lost to Clemson, who lost to Alabama, so Alabama should be in there, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. See? You can play that game all day, and at the end of the day,
Right.
UCF would have lost to Alabama.
Oh, yes, absolutely. UCF would not have stood a chance against either of these 4 teams. These were the best 4 teams going into the college football playoff. Clemson was a very, very good team the entire season and just had a terrible game against Alabama, which is what Alabama does. They make you play terrible. They take the ball away, and they capitalize on that. That's what Nick Saban's able to do. When Saban has 4 weeks to prepare for a game, he's going to do it right. And that's why Alabama was able to win the three-peat, the 3-match. That's what I call it, the 3-match, and get into the national championship game for the 3rd year in a row. Great job by Alabama. Georgia, best bowl game of the year, I think, was between Georgia and Oklahoma.
It was very exciting, and I'm glad we're getting into these now because I thought we were going down a scary UCF path there.
Brief mention only.
Now, this was one where the second half adjustments made all the difference in the world. Yes. So Oklahoma comes in, they score 7 in the first quarter, 10 in the second quarter. 14 in the first quarter, 17 in the second quarter, 0. Goose egg in the third quarter. Mm-hmm. Georgia figured it out. Baker Mayfield, when he's thrown deep, he doesn't necessarily have a good grasp of how to get it to these guys if they're covered. A lot of the times, they were just burning the Georgia defenders in the first half. They made adjustments, and he wasn't able to complete a big pass in the second half.
But really, it was the running game from Georgia. Just able to completely control the game. Sony Michel had 181 yards on 11 carries.
Yep.
I mean, he did have a 75-yard touchdown early, but 181 yards on 11 carries. Your boy, Nick Chubb. 14 carries for 145 yards.
Double B.
Yeah. So that 5 touchdowns between the two of them.
Yeah.
on the ground. Pretty good job. And how about the true freshman, Jake Fromm, the quarterback for the Bulldogs? 20 for 29, 2 touchdowns.
A lot of people were worried coming into this, well, a true freshman isn't going to fare well against this Oklahoma defense. But when you have a running game that's as good as Georgia does, he didn't need to be very effective. He did end up completing about 70% of his passes, and 2 of those were for touchdowns. So good day for him. QBR of 152. I mean, no interceptions. That's the main thing as a freshman and as a quarterback with a good rushing team. Just don't turn the ball over. Let your guys do the work up front. They got a great offensive line opening up huge holes, and Oklahoma's defense just wasn't able to deal with it. And we expected that going in because they were also giving up a lot of points, but their offense was so powerful that they were able to kind of coast through the season with a bad defense.
And that's a surprising thing. With a final score of 54-48 in double overtime, you'd think that this would be a big passing game. There wasn't a lot of passing going on. Fromm had 210 yards. Mayfield had 287 yards. But the running games for both teams, Georgia had 319 yards on the ground. And Oklahoma had 242 yards on the ground, including 201 yards from Rodney Anderson, the lead running back for them. He had 2 touchdowns as well. Like, it was a running game. People were doing it on the ground, which you don't see as much anymore because that's the day and age we live in. It's the passing game.
Yeah, it was an exciting game, and I was kind of mad that Oklahoma lost because I'd picked them. I thought Baker Mayfield was going to pull it out. But he was essentially a non-factor in overtime.
He did catch a touchdown.
Which is weird. He did at the end of the first half.
Early in the game. In overtime, it was strange to see that they kept calling plays to get the ball out of his hand as quick as possible.
I wasn't totally sure what was going on there. It seems like he's your Heisman winner. He's the guy that's gotten you here.
The best player in the country.
Let him have the ball. But Oklahoma now sitting at home watching this one as Baker Mayfield gets ready for the NFL draft.
A very teary post-game press conference.
Yeah, and a lot of people. So attitude-wise, he reminds me a lot of Cam Newton. Because people get mad when Cam Newton's like all smiley and just playing around when he's having a good season, and then when he's not having a good season, he's all mopey,
pouty,
and whiny and like complaining about things. It's very similar here, but that's what happens when you have passionate players. So people forget because we've had these stoic Tom Brady's, stoic Aaron Rodgers, where they give you very monotone responses, and they don't have much personality to them. So it just depends what you want. And a lot of people don't want the passionate responses, at least the pouty ones.
Right.
So we look now at the Alabama and Clemson game. Alabama just dominated on all fronts.
I am glad I didn't stay up to watch this.
I fell asleep at halftime.
Yeah. That's about as much as I made. I made it, I think, almost to halftime, and I said, I got to go. Alabama's just dominating in this game. Even at halftime, it was a 10-3 score.
Yeah.
But Alabama just in all aspects of the game was dominant and took the ball away, which was the big difference in this game.
Yeah, the 2 interceptions by Kelly Bryant really kind of solidified it for Alabama. So we won't really touch on that anymore. Let's turn now to the college football playoff national championship, which will have Georgia
presented
and Alabama.
by AT&T.
AT&T, yes. What do you hope to see out of this game?
I hope to see Georgia win.
Because you mess with the Bulldogs, you're going to feel the Bulldog bite.
Yes, exactly. Georgia was the SEC champion. Alabama, historically, since Nick Saban has been there, has been the most dominant team in college football.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's going to argue that. Alabama's gotten their national championships. Great. They're good. We get it. Let's have somebody else win. Georgia has been good for so long, but not good enough.
Right.
And this is finally that year that they're getting over that hump. They're trying to do that and be the best team in college football, and they have a chance to do that. And I love watching the running backs. Both Sony Michel and Nick Chubb are great running backs.
Yeah, it's impressive how well they did. They combined for over 300 yards on the ground last week, and I think if they can get over 200 yards on the ground this week against Alabama, they're going to win the game. And
it's not going to be a 54-48 game.
Right.
I'll tell you that.
I think Jake Fromm's going to have a bit more of a difficult time, but at the end of the day, I see Georgia coming out. Their defense, while not the best, is going to give up a lot of points. This is not going to be a low-scoring affair, in my opinion.
I was just going to say the exact opposite.
Really?
It's not going to be – I did say that exact. It's not going to be a high-scoring game. Alabama, they were able to put up 24 against Clemson's number 1 rated defense, or very high rated defense, but that was due in part because of the turnovers. I think that this game will be a lot less turnovers, and because of the running game that's going to be involved with Georgia, I think that'll run the clock a little bit more, and there'll be less chances to score. There's not going to be 50-yard touchdowns and 75-yard touchdowns by those running backs, but they're going to put the ball in their hands a lot more often. I think it's going to run the clock a little more.
One of the best defenses in the nation in Alabama. So
it's going to be tough.
I think the rushing game will be tougher to come by, but at the same time, I think Georgia's offensive line is good enough to make those holes.
And I think Georgia lives and dies by the running game. So if they can get that running game established, that takes some pressure off that true freshman, Jake Fromm, and he can throw some passes just to supplement the running game. Now, one interesting thing to note is Minkah Fitzpatrick, defensive back for Alabama, maybe the best player in this game, going to be a top 5 high draft pick. He's nursing an injury right now, so going to be interesting to see if he's able to go full go and what he's able to do in this championship game.
Yeah, and you look at the stat line from the game against Clemson, and there's nothing that jumps off the page at you. You have kind of mid-range rushing attack for Alabama from Harris and Hurts and Scarborough, but then you look at the receiving, and it's also spread out. And so it's really a case where the defense put them in a really good spot. So if the defense can show up, Alabama stands a really good chance to win this one. I think Georgia's going to pull it out. I have them winning 31-28. So that's my prediction.
I like Georgia as well. I think a little bit lower score, maybe 24-17 type of game. But I hope Georgia wins as well. Now, can we mention briefly, did you hear what Nick Saban complained about this week? The Nick Saban complaint of the week?
That he only had 1 week to prepare for this game?
Yeah, that he'd like more time. I think it's better for the players, better for the kids if we give them more time between these two games. Nick, you get a week between a game every week of the college football season. Why do you need an extra week here?
Well, it's the national championship, so I need more time.
Right. You need more time. Yeah. Don't put this on the kids. They're fine. They don't need more time.
They will figure it out.
You need more time. Now, that's suffice to say, I kind of agree. I don't like the freaking national championship game getting played on a Monday. Play it on a Saturday. And in that case, if the playoff was on Monday the 1st, you can't have the national championship game on Saturday the 6th, right? So you'd skip a week and you'd have it the next Saturday. Then you'd get your 10, 15 days of preparation for that game. Lengthen the college football playoff a little bit longer, and I don't think anyone would be too incredibly mad. I know media would love it because they'd have an extra week to talk about it.
Yeah.
So, and coaches like Nick Saban would love it because they'd have an extra week to prepare. And then I think most people would like it because they'd get to watch a game on a Saturday and watch it full through and not have the pain of waking up for work the next day. Most people.
I mean, on the West Coast, they're not going to have a problem with it.
Yeah, but we don't live on the West Coast, John.
That's true. So, game will end about 11:30 or midnight. What
time is kickoff? I didn't even see.
8 p.m.
8 p.m. kickoff.
Yep. 8 p.m. kickoff. So
it's so late.
It's not that bad.
Yeah, but it will end late.
Quit being a whiner.
I'm a whiny what?
Anything else from you?
Go Bulldogs.
Go Bulldogs. Yep, we're on the same page there.
Sucks that it's an all SEC championship game. That has happened in the past though. It was Alabama and LSU a few years ago.
Yeah.
Probably about 10 years ago now. I don't have it off the top of my head. But
So that is the College Football Playoff National Championship presented by AT&T Monday, January 8th.